In the fall of 1972, in Toronto, Canada, a group of 8 members from the Toronto Society for Physical Research conducted a seance that would have a profound impact on the field of parapsychology. 8 individuals, none with psychic or telekinetic abilities, would receive communication after summoning a spirit named Phillip. While the results seemed to provide credibility for paranormal activity in seances, it did not. The reason being, Phillip was never actually a person, but a fictitious individual created by members of the group. In time, the results would be duplicated by others, and many theories have been proposed as to what exactly happened. In this episode, we will cover this fascinating experiment, an event that has come to be known as the 1972 Phillip Experiment. In 1972, under the leadership of Dr. Arg Owen, he would gather 8 members from the Toronto Society for Physical Research, or TSPR, to see if it was possible to create a ghost. The idea was revolutionary, as many have speculated that ghosts or spirits exist only in the human mind. The idea behind Dr. Owen's experiment was simple: create a fictitious character and see if they could contact the spirit. The group would look for signs the spirit was present by communicating with it, and also even hoping to see an apparition. To begin, the group first had to create the fictional character, who they named Phillip Aylesford. As such, the following is the life story of Phillip.
Philip was an aristocratic Englishman, living in the middle 1600s at the time of Oliver Cromwell. He had been a supporter of the king, and was a Catholic. He was married to a beautiful but cold and frigid wife, Dorothea, the daughter of a neighbouring nobleman. One day, when out riding on the boundaries of his estates, Philip came across a gypsy encampment and saw there a beautiful dark-eyed girl, raven-haired gypsy girl, Margot, and fell instantly in love with her. He brought her back secretly to live in the gatehouse, near the stables of Deington Manor, his family home. For some time he kept his love nest secret, but eventually Dorothea, realizing he was keeping someone else there, found Margot and accused her of witchcraft and stealing her husband. Philip was too scared of losing his reputation and his possessions to protest at the trial of Margot, and she was convicted of witchcraft and burned at the stake. Philip was subsequently stricken with remorse that he had not tried to defend Margot and used to pace the battlements of Deington in despair. Finally, one morning his body was found at the bottom of the battlements, whence he had cast himself in a fit of agony and remorse. Philip died by this suicide in 1654.
In addition to this, the group had one member draw drawings of what Philip looked like. The group included some non-fictional elements in Philip's story too, such as Oliver Cromwell. Still, the majority of his story was fabricated, and now the group decided to see, could they conjure up this fictitious creation? The group had a complete mental picture of Philip, his life, and what he looked like. So in September 1972, the group began conducting sessions where they met informally, discussed Philip and his life. The hope was Philip would try and communicate with them. For the first year, there was no communication. Occasionally, group members would allege to feel his presence, but that was it. After a year, the group decided it was time to change strategy. Instead of sitting in a well-lit room, they needed to replicate the environment from a seance. In addition to this, they collected objects from the time period when fictional Philip was alive, and also posted paintings of the castle he lived in, and also what they believed he looked like. Soon after starting, one evening the group would finally get the communication they had hoped for: a bang on the table. Soon, the group began communicating with Philip using 1 knock for yes, and 2 knocks for no. The early sessions were promising, and the seances would only get better. Philip would soon start to perform incredible feats that couldn't be explained scientifically. For example, he was sliding a heavy table all around the room. On several occasions, he would make the table stand on one leg. Philip could dim the lights instantly on command and also turn them back on. group members frequently felt a cool breeze come across the table. Without question, Phillip, or whatever was there, had psychokinetic powers and had used them multiple times in front of the group. Perhaps even more interesting, throughout the seances, Phillip would fill in the gaps of his fictitious life the group had created. He communicated to the group his likes and dislikes. Interestingly, the sessions would also show that Phillip's knowledge seemed to be limited by the group's creation. For example, he knew of the figure Oliver Cromwell as the group had discussed Cromwell. However, he wasn't able to answer other historical questions that a person from his time period would know. This profound implication we'll discuss later in the video. Soon the group would conduct a seance in front of around 50 people and also conduct several sessions, which they videotaped. The results of the seances were pretty incredible, with dozens of witnesses seeing the paranormal activity. This included the table levitating, knocks, and the lights flickering on command. While this was quite impressive, unfortunately the group did not achieve one of its primary goals, for Phillip to manifest. Despite this, the experiment was a big success, and the group decided to repeat it. They created a French spy named Lilith, a man named Sebastian, and once again they were able to communicate through knocks. Unfortunately though, there was once again no manifestation. Interestingly as well, an Australian group would replicate the experiments. The results of these experiments have led to numerous theories and thoughts over the years. The first theory, and most popular, is that the group all conjured up a different spirit, one that pretended to be Phillip. Many speculate that a demon or another evil spirit could have been communicating with the group. There's good reason to believe that this happened. There are numerous cases where individuals attempt to communicate with benevolent spirits, but actually end up conjuring something evil. We hear stories around this pretty often, with those who use Ouija boards and things like that. Did the group actually open some sort of gateway and something else came through? It surely seems possible. Critics will state this theory does have one flaw. Phillip's knowledge was limited to the group's creation. Wouldn't another spirit possess knowledge outside of it? The second theory is that we can create these spiritual beings or ghosts in our mind, and this is exactly what the group did. It seems the group proved that abnormal activity, or activity that is unexplainable by modern science, surely happened in this case. It brings in the question around consciousness, and whether consciousness is able to transcend the laws we know. Many speculate that consciousness and or the spirit keeps going once the physical body passes, and while the experiment didn't prove this, it certainly didn't hurt the argument. While most believe the first two theories, there are other theories too, such as the activity came from something like another dimension, or possibly an extraterrestrial life form. In our opinion, these theories, while not as popular, seem possible as well. One theory that critics have proposed is that someone in the group possessed telekinetic abilities, like Carrie from the 1979 Stephen King horror film. This theory states the person was able to do the knocks, move the table, and switch the lights off and on with their mind. Some critics have proposed this and stated that's why a manifestation never happened. The group has stressed no member had these abilities though. In addition, we know from numerous poltergeist cases, spirits can be present and disruptive, but never manifest. In sum, the Phillip Experiment was a massive success on a number of fronts. First, it showed that paranormal activity exists, and perhaps most importantly, that science doesn't have the answers to everything. Some have critiqued the studies and stated that it shows ghosts are only in our mind. However, the experiments weren't about ghosts, but unexplainable activity. The activity really happened. We don't know the why, how, or what caused this strange activity, but we do know it did occur. In sum, it seems there is still much we don't understand about this world.